That'll work.
You already have some accredited athletes that are in the world that you've coached.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Steve Nelson,
Right.
champion,
Right.
right? You
Mm-hmm.
got Mike Williams.
Right.
Mike Williams came from your camp.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what? And the kids, man, your children, they're phenomenal athletes, right? Okay, so I want to pick your brain. How do you develop? How old is your son here as he's crossing these humans up that are bigger than him?
Which one? Let's see. Amir.
Yeah.
He just turned 16. He's a small 16, but he was playing freshman ball, but he started crossing people up probably earlier than that.
Okay. So, what's your methodology? What'd you do? How'd you do it?
And I guess in the beginning, man, it goes way back when he was a small child.
Okay.
The first thing I saw in him was he was fast, right? So one day, I can't remember the exact day, I'm watching him run around playing us in the house. I'm like, man, this kid is fast. So at the while, certain thing I would do with him, because I always been playing. I played sports all my life, been involved in sports. Give him a ball, watch him play with it, and his gross motor skills were just so good. I'm like, wow, he's a little athlete. So then what I did, the first sport I put him in was soccer.
Okay.
I put him in soccer, not so much because I was a soccer fan, because it was soccer season. He was fast. I said, if I put him out there, he can do real well. So he started doing real well.
So he's just naturally, this kid's naturally got
he
it.
was just, yeah, he was natural as far as with the speed, and I guess his gross motor skills. So some of the stuff is always genetics. And then from there, that's when I started training him more just on better movement, how to move the proper way. And the same thing went along with my other son.
Okay. A lot of difference in between training an adult human and a little human.
Right.
Right. So how are you so effective? Because you're not just effective with them, right? Because like I've seen in your youth classes, you're effective with other people's children.
Right.
Right. So it's not just your children that listen; other people's children listen. What's the method? How are you able to? It is a challenge to teach young children physical movements, right? So I'm sure there's a lot of science behind it that you understand, and you're also able to verbally communicate it to these little humans. Mm-hmm. So how do you do it, man?
I think, and not the cliche of it. I guess it has to. You have to get them to make sense to them.
Okay.
Celebrate the small victories. That's a cliche. Celebrate small victories. But for real. So if I'm teaching the kid, just say how to jump from left to right on one foot, and he's able to do it. And once he started getting it, we celebrate that. And then as we celebrate it, of course, what the children, they feel good when you celebrate something they do well. And then you start telling them why you want them to do that. This is why I want you to do this. If you're able to stabilize yourself better with one foot, you have better balance. When you start playing sports out there with your friends, you'll be able to make a move better than they can make. So you start, you celebrate the small victories, and you allow them to understand why you need them to do it.
Yeah. So in the fitness community, there's not too many gyms that I've been in outside of your gym where your name doesn't come up. I mean, you've been respected in the community as a fitness instructor or a coach, right? The figure of a coach for whenever your name comes up, there's some respect on that, and always has been. How long? Like, what made you decide that you wanted to take the teaching route? What decided you wanted to teach everybody else the game?
I don't know. It's probably been part of me. It goes, man. See, I've been coaching. My coaching dates back to probably 2003. I say probably and it started when I was coaching high school basketball. And I think just always, for one, being a player myself of multiple sports, and then just teaching. Just once I started coaching and teaching and having success and seeing how much joy it was for the young people I was working with, it just became, I guess, a bigger passion.
Yeah,
for me.
I remember one time we were in the gym and you had the kids, and I remember there was a movement. I don't remember what drill it was, but you told the kid, you said, "Look, you have to stay here, and if you move, a shark will come out of the ground and it eat you."
Right.
right? But all the kids laugh, all the parents laugh, and that child knew. All right, well, I can't move. I can't. This is where I. And so I stole it from you when I was coaching when I was coaching basketball. I did a drill and I was like, hey, if you move from here, a shark's going to come out of the ground and it's going to eat you. And the kids were like, oh, this is fun. We don't want to get ate by the shark. It was very, very effective. Yeah,
I think when you do stuff like that, and make it fun for them, they like it more. Who wants to do something that's not fun? No one. As an adult, you don't want to do it. Neither does children. And share something with the kid. I was teaching the kids to build the balls of their feet. I'm like, so stand the balls of your feet. So the kids would do it. There's one kid, he couldn't do it. Cute little guy. He was good when he started hitting the bag. So he's after a while he started pouting, and he turned to his mom. He said, "Mom, I can't do this." So she's like, "What's wrong?" He said, "I can't find the ball on the bottom of my foot." So I had to re-explain to him what that meant. But he literally was like, "There's no ball on the bottom of my foot."
What color is it? A tennis ball? What is it?
Right.
What's down there?
Right. So I had to break down another way of how to do it.
Yeah, I see a lot of. Okay, I see that you post a lot of, like, you try to give people a lot of, and I think sometimes you'll post something about your perspective where like this would be good for an athlete, right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember any of the latest topics that people maybe wanted to debate you on in the world, which I'm sure there's a lot of them, right? Is there anything that you want to convey that maybe you've been debated on lately that
I'm sure over time I've been debated on a lot. One I was debated on was that when I first started saying heavy bag doesn't build punching power, people didn't like that. More so people were involved in boxing, they didn't like that.
Explain that. Okay, let's talk about that one. The heavy bag does not develop punching power.
Right.
Go ahead.
So let's say, you've been around the sport. Mm-hmm. Maybe let's just guess, without doing research, we would say at least 95% of boxers use the heavy bag a lot, right? Mm-hmm. But if in the boxing world, not 95% of boxers aren't knockout artists, right?
No.
You still have guys still saying, man, he can't punch. So what I was saying to people was, I think we overemphasize using the heavy bag because we're going to build our punching power up. Mm-hmm. I think the heavy bag has benefits. Punching power is not one of them. So with that, people would debate me, like, how can you say, it doesn't build punching power? I said, how can you say it does? Now, I was a boxer myself for 16 years. I wasn't known as a great knockout artist. I used the heavy bag a lot. It probably was one of my least favorite bags to use. I like the double wind bag. I like the focus pads. So that's one that's been, people used to debate with me. Then we have a discussion. They're like, well, I see your point. I still think it's useful. And I was like, I never said it wasn't useful. It helps maybe build endurance in your shoulders because of the reaction force you're getting back when you hit this. There's a reaction coming back through your body. I said, it may even help you build some stabilization muscles because you got to, you kind of brace yourself. I said, but it's build punching power. And another thing, if someone can record someone punching, if they're working with them, right before you punch the bag, is almost, I guess, you unintentionally slow down because you're about to punch something. Like, it's almost like the brain's going to do it itself. Like, you're going to slow down just a little bit. And someone catch it on video, they can probably, really capture it. They got the right camera, mm-hmm. They can see it. But it's kind of automatic to do it. It's like you run into the wall. You must say, all right, run to the wall. You're going to run towards the wall. You're going to slow down just a little bit because you just don't know what the action's going to be.
I've never thought about that. That's very, very interesting.
Another one, the track. You have, I don't know how familiar you are with track. You have what we call arm action. So you have a lot of coaches, they'll sit a person down and have them practice an arm action.
Yeah.
So, and I said one year, my sons run track also, I said, that's not a good drill to do. So someone asked me why. It's like, why? And it's experienced, coach. I said, because the arms and the legs work together. So you can't teach a young athlete who's running track to just use their arms if they're not using their legs. It's the opposite action. So when I'm running, you're like this. The left arm come up, right leg come up, right? But when you sit down, you take all that away from me. So I'm not really getting the true arm action, what happens with the body while I'm running. And they were like, well, you got a point. I said, no, I'm right. Just look it up. It's opposite action when you run. If you see someone if a person is running, if they run like this, they're not going to get a lot of speed. But when you see a sprinter, when he's hitting that 100 meter, he's like this with his arms. I'm showing it to the individual. Mm-hmm. I just sort of sit someone on their butt and say, do arm action. I said, it doesn't work.
So you want to keep everything, the upper body and lower body movement coordinated, right?
Right.
Yeah. What's another one? While you spitting free game here, he's not charging y'all for this right now, guys. For everybody watching, this is just free game. We'll get one more. We'll get. This is a paid professional. We'll just get one. We'll get one more. What's another good one? The heavy bag. Okay, so everybody hits the heavy bag well.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody doesn't box well.
Right.
In the heavy bag creating power. Do you find that a lot of your students push the bag?
Yes.
You see a lot of pushing.
You see a lot of pushing
because that power comes from the snap at the end, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But they doing it at the end. They start pushing. They ain't snapping. At the end, they just push it. And the bag's moving. And I tell them, like, yo, you are not punching the bag like that. Like, you don't have the power to punch the bag like that. Why is it moving? It's like, because you push it and then stop pushing the bag. You know, when you want to get your power, actually, it's going to come to rotation in the body. Now, yeah, some people probably genetically, naturally could just punch. Heavy hands, you know, they could punch. But that snap sometimes you have to develop. I think some of that, again, goes to the genetics. So if a person who's blessed with those fast twitch fibers, you know, they got that fast snap. Someone who's blessed, someone might have more slow twitch fibers, their punches may be heavy, but they may not be as fast, you know. And you look at some, I can't think of fight off the top of my head. I'll use two fighters example: George Foreman and Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson probably could sprint fast.
Super fast guy.
Yeah, most things
super fast guy.
He probably, and you can see it in his punches. He has a lot of that fast twitch. He has a lot of fast twitch stuff and it's explosive. Mm-hmm. George Foreman probably never ran fast. George Foreman.
No.
He never been punching fast.
No.
But they're very heavy. They wear you down.
Yeah. The internet went down. We can't pull it. But so that when he fought Ali, they said they had to bring the guy a new punching bag every week. Mm-hmm. When they fought in training camp, like George Foreman was such a freak that like they had to bring him new.
Right.
And that's very hard to imagine because, I mean, being involved in seeing boxers and a lot of guys from different ways, it's rare that you see a guy that can destroy a heavy bag. And maybe it was heavy bags for back then compared to heavy bags now.
Right.
Yeah. But, I mean, still, man, they had to bring him. I think I saw somebody in his camp tell Ali, don't look in there. Mm-hmm. Like when he would go by because they had to work out, I guess, in the same place. But they were like, dude, don't look in there.
Right.
Part of the game. But yes, I would agree with you. I actually, as a personal experience, being a self-proclaimed power puncher myself, but I remember when I got to your facility, you told me not to push the bag too. You said it should snap. This bag shouldn't move. It should snap. And I always carried that. This makes tons of sense. Right. So, yeah, man, it's all legitimate. Everything that you're saying, free game. What's another?
See another. I'm trying to think of a way. Say that you're familiar with the agility ladder, right?
Sure.
Okay. It's not an agility ladder. It's just a ladder. Okay.
Yeah.
People call it a speed ladder. It's not a speed ladder. Now you have some ladders that are considered to be speed ladders, but they're made a certain way, and the reason they call them speed ladders is because the way that the rungs are set up, it causes you, if you're trained right, to run a certain way to help with what contributes to building speed. Okay. A ladder is just a ladder though. So when people say, like, I got me, this agility ladder, we're doing agility drills, like you're not really doing agility drills. You're doing movement drills, you're doing coordination drills. Now, with that being said, way back when I first started using the ladder, I'd be like, oh, yeah, I got to, we're going to do some agility on the ladder because I didn't really know what it was either. I just followed suit until I got educated in that field. I was like, oh, it's not agility. It's just coordination. Now, it's needed. It's definitely needed. Mm-hmm. But everything you do with a ladder, you can do without a ladder, So, but when you start working on agility, the ladder is not about agility. The ladder is about coordination. If I can get these movements coordinated enough, you gotta get the movements coordinated in the right manner by certain body positions. So that's been a hot debate topic too. Somebody, I got this agility ladder. I'm like, it's not an agility ladder, and people would debate with me. Then we have a discussion, and of course, some be like, all right, makes sense. And then some like, it don't make sense because it's something that just will never make sense.
Right.
Regardless.
How do you feel about dairy products in training? This is very dairy, milk, right? Like, so this is something that's highly debatable, right? Like, yeah. I think I've seen that you were like yogurt, right? You would suggest yogurt after workout, maybe.
Somebody, they can.
Yeah, I think Dee. I remember she was a big fan. Like, she would eat yogurt. I think like before she would spar, or right after she would spar. Right. She swore by it. How do you feel about it?
Well, we're into milk and all that. Actually, I had my sons drinking chocolate milk probably 3 years ago or more, and people were like, why you have to do that? And I told them why. And I learned it from a dietitian who's very well known in the industry of training.
So the science behind it, you know the science. Yeah, okay.
So, and they'd be like, well, I probably should. I'm like, yeah, it's good for you. And then they started doing commercials on chocolate milk. Clay Thompson doing commercials. Everybody like, oh man, you drink chocolate milk. And I had a gentleman who I trained his son forever. He like, Coach, you was talking about that a few years ago. But I learned it from someone who was very knowledgeable, a dietitian, a real dietitian.
Yeah, you didn't just pull this out of the air.
Right, let me do it right.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency of being a nerd of always studying stuff. So when people like looking stuff up let me look this up on Google. No, I'm on, literally websites looking up research articles on this. But we had a game, a soccer game, and it was hot. So during the game, I told Najee and me, I said, during the game, we're going to just drink water. You don't get timeouts in soccer, but you come out. I said, halftime, we're drinking chocolate milk. So somebody came to me, the parents like, you guys give your child chocolate milk. Are you not worried about it turning his stomach? I'm like, nah. I said, you think Gatorade will turn his stomach? They're like, no. I said, well, Gatorade sits on the shelf, and so does chocolate milk. They both have shelf life. I said, and so with that, if the Gatorade's not going to turn his stomach, I'm not worried about the chocolate milk turning his stomach. I said, but we keep it cold. And then the parent said to me like 2 or 3 games later, she's like, I'm trying to get my son to drink chocolate milk, but he doesn't like it. I said, okay, well, this is not something you have to have. She said, yeah, but if it make Najee run like that, my son needs to drink it. But long story short, yes, I'm into the chocolate milk for athletes. I given it to them before track meets, before the nationals, because
they've been fine.
Yes,
hot days.
Yes, hot days.
Fine.
Right.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why. But we're sitting out there one nationals, and you go wait for a long time for when it's your turn to run. So they got the kids back there. It's hot. They got the fans on the water. They got Gatorade out there water. So at a certain time, I give Najee chocolate milk. I said, we're going to drink this. Y'all going up soon. So somebody asked, said, why you give him chocolate milk? I said, because it goes through the system fast. I said, you want something to get in the system when you start talking about your muscles working. Your muscles work from glucose. I said, so if you want the muscles to work, I need something getting it fast so it can get the pumping. I said, because if your glycogen stores are empty, that affects okay. And that year, Najee ended up finishing number 3 in the nation as an 11-year-old. I think he finished 17 in the nation as an 11, 12-year-old. So you run 11, 12, and they break down where you at in your age and your total group. So with that, I've always been supporter of milk, chocolate milk. I don't know, what do you call it, white milk?
White milk,
yeah. I'm always for it.
What about Gatorade? How do you feel about like Gatorade, right?
Yeah. I think people could drink it.
Yeah.
Man, I don't promote it.
Are you a fan of Gatorade, or
nah.
You'd go water and milk?
Yeah.
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 I have some other stuff I drink that I'm like a bit in business with, but I don't say them because I'm not promoting them.
Yeah, we're not selling them. Right
now. So I'm not against Gatorade, but I'm not for, hey, you got to get Gatorade. I think Gatorade is a business. So they say, hey, you need Gatorade, because LeBron drinks Gatorade. And then they'll say, hey, this Gatorade right here has no sugar. And then me, being a knucklehead, be like, well, if it has no sugar, how is it going to get to your system fast? If your muscles work off of sugar, basically glucose, carbs, if you're saying there's 0 carbs, where am I going to get my energy from? So...
Carbohydrates do supply the body with energy.
Right.
So, all right. So, I mean, at this point, you've got years and years. Like, obviously, you've got philosophies. And, I mean, this isn't stuff that you just came up with yesterday. Right. This is years. And, I mean, you've had the opportunity owning your own facility. And especially, I know that, and, you're like your kids, and like you could train track and basketball, and you could do everything. Mm-hmm. But like in the boxing gym that you have, I don't know. I've debated this with. Do you think that there's anything more tiring? Do you think that there's anything more stressful or require more endurance than the sport of boxing?
As far as in training, probably track.
Track.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
track, you go out there and track. If you're out there for, let's say, 90-minute practice, there's nothing but running. Mm. If you're there for an hour practice, it's nothing but running. You got some get out there, do some push-ups on the end. But I think track will probably be the most tiring, one of the most tiring sports. I think boxing is a different type of training because it's a full body workout. But people can kind of take their breaks, as they need them. Just decide I'm not going to put out at all this round, depending on what they're doing, depending on what type of training you're doing. So boxing is definitely a hard training, a demanding training, but I really do think track might be about the hardest out there. Like,
that's a statement. I didn't do track, but I mean everything else we've done.
Mm-hmm.
So just for you to say that, and I get it because that would be, I mean, you're talking full sprints. That's your heart rate going
all the time. Right?
Yeah, just constant.
And you figure in track, the goal is to get in top shape, to get fast, so you can try to get in top shape, to get even faster, to get in top shape, to get even faster.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing is about running, getting tired, so you can get in better shape. So I think track is a hard.
You're just constantly at the max that you can do.
Right.
And then you make that your new max. And then yesterday's max is now not the max anymore. And how can you max that?
Exactly,
Yeah. So far as with your knowledge in the community right now, are you still what areas are you training in? I know, of course, we're still running boxing, right? Mm-hmm. Are you active in any other areas? Have you thought about going in any other areas?
Yep. I coach soccer.
Okay.
I help out with track. More with helping out with track is with my sons. I train basketball players. Two of the young ladies I've been training, they just received a commitment to North Carolina A&T, not because of me, but just since the summer I've been helping them and their father with some stuff.
I got to get a little man. I got to get a little man over there to you, man.
I didn't start the youth class back yet, but hopefully I'll be starting it back up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even with that. So, all right. So, I mean, as of this point, so you grew up you're from up north, right, Philly. Your childhood, I'm just guessing, but most people that end up in a combat. How was your childhood? Was it rough? You have
rough. Real rough.
Rough. Yeah. Right. And that'll land people in a combat sport. Mm-hmm. Right. It's very common to see other people from rougher walks of life. But him, on the other hand, he's not had a rough life. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that he would love boxing. Right. Right. But we try it because it's great for him. But he does absolutely love basketball. Mm-hmm. And of that, my knowledge is limited. That's why I know I contacted you. I was like, look, man, we got to get little man to you. When I saw you kids, I was like, ooh, he's doing something way different than me. Right. Oh, man, he's doing something way different here. Just with like handling and everything, because he's coordinated enough to do it. I just got to get him. We got to get him over there to you. So, do you coach any basketball?
Now, actually, yeah. Last year I was coaching rec. Okay. Actually, today I was just offered a job for assistant varsity coach at my school, but I had to turn it down because I'm doing soccer and I have my own business. Yeah. Man, I've been coaching basketball. I started coaching basketball in 2003. So my first solid sport in high school coaching was basketball. Okay,
let's segue into this real quick.
And I was a very good basketball player and football player.
Oh, so you had game back in the game too? Yeah. Or you had game back in the day too? Yeah. How has COVID affected your facility?
Initially, it affected because I shut it down.
On your own. You said this is wise. We're just going to.
Yeah, when everything was going off and things were shutting down, I'm like, let me shut down. I don't know what's going on. I shut it down. I opened back up when he kind of released us a little bit, so it's been doing okay. I haven't started the youth class back yet because I don't want parents to be concerned about, somebody else coming in there sick. Do they have a cold or do they have a COVID? I think it's two different things.
Sure.
So yeah, it affected it some. But last couple of months it's been okay because I just said I shortened days up. I'm only doing 2 days a week, but I do 2 different sessions. So overall, I'm doing okay, and I don't have a big overhead. You've been in the facility. Mm-hmm. I got boxing. It's like a people think. Well, I say like a Philly gym. So I don't have a big overhead. I have one assistant who help me out. We work the drill out of that. My electric's not high. Rent not high. So it's not doing bad at all.
I will say personally, my personal experience when I decided that I was going to let somebody else train me, and I went to all the boxing gyms in town. When I came to yours, I would never forget. It's the same way I picked out my weightlifting gym too, right? So you go to all of the gyms, but and I wanted to fight back then, right? Mm-hmm. But when I
I think I still got your book. Don't I got a passport?
I think you do. Yeah, you still got my book. And so anyway, I got a cool story about that. I got a real cool story about that. But when I went into when I walked into your gym and I walked up the stairs, like I immediately, this is a gym where people work. I knew I was gonna I knew it. Like I literally walked into that gym and like people aren't talking, people aren't on their phone. Mm-hmm. You getting work, all right? You gonna get what you pay for, and it's more than a reasonable price. I've always thought that you could charge more, but obviously this is something you love, right? But I knew. I mean, you could smell that people were working. Like this is where you, and I've had many of trainings where I have left and sat at the bottom of those steps and just thought about my life. look, so we I think I started with Angels, and I didn't really like the staff, and then I came to your place, and so we had this we had a bout in Spring Lake, right? And Coach was so good, we actually beat this guy. We never had to fight him. So here's how that happened. Here's how that happened, right? We were standing in line. We were in shape. I mean, I was training. That was back when we were training with Steve, Steve and D, and the guy. Whenever you're in an amateur fight, they'll line you up and everybody goes and weighs in and they go to medical together, right? You weigh and you go to medical and the doctor checks you out. And there was another kid, and everybody knew him, right? And I think they knew I was one of your fighters for that day. And the kid looked at me and he was like, I remember him going, like, that's your coach? I was like, yeah, that's the camp, right? And he was like, all right. And he's like, I've been knocking everybody out in sparring. So I was just real smooth. I was like, all right, yeah, man, that's cool, man. We'll get some good work when we get in there, right? The kid gets nervous. I'm cool. The kid is nervous, right? Like, this kid is scared. You can tell. He's scared, right? And we get back to the doctor. His guy's blood pressure's off the chart. He's 20 years old. Right. Blood pressure's off the chart, right? Can't fight. I got a trophy. I never had to fight the guy. I never even had to fight him. I got a trophy and everything. It was the coolest thing. Yeah, it was definitely a different experience. Actually.
Well, I know. Let me say this about going back to sports. Because people actually ask you, like, how are you able to train in so many sports? For one, I love sports. I know sports. But another thing I think where maybe trainers or people call themselves trainer/coach, I like the term coach better, understanding movement. So that's key. So when you understand movement and you know a little about sports, you can kind of put some things together and say, this is how you should be moving. And if you move like this, your body's going to do what it's supposed to do. What is you trying to do? Or you could take a sport and say, how does this sport relate? And real quick, you know, my sons play soccer. They're very good at soccer. Amir played varsity.
They're good at everything you teach them, man.
So when I'm teaching them the sport, and I first started coaching them, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to understand all the nuances of soccer. And one time when I was at Great Street High School, our soccer coach there, I had to go watch him, sit there with him and practice and learn some of the game. Okay, the most I played in soccer in Philly was kickball. Kick the ball, you better run. It's kind of like soccer. So what I started doing is I watch him learn a little bit of the game. I said, until I can really get the total understanding of the sport of soccer, soccer's like basketball. So I started teaching my son through basketball. In basketball, you hear, don't let someone cut in the lane in front of you. Push them out. So in soccer, I started teaching them that. Hey, if they got the ball down there, they're bringing the ball, don't let this guy come across and get that ball from you. You know, keep pushing them out towards the sideline. That way, if the ball it's a longer tracking from there to there. So I started teaching them through other sports. And this is what you need to do. This is how you move. If the guy's attacking you with the ball, you know, don't be standing up. In basketball, you stand up, you know somebody's going to go by you. In soccer, you standing up, they're going to go by you. Sitting your hips. You know, so I think, and I say all that to say, if coaches start learning how you can relate sports, for one, that'll help them. But more than anything, understand movement. And I think a lot of people don't understand movement.
No, and that is what you have. That is something that is truly unique, and probably is the most profound thing about your style is you being able to understand, because you study athletes, you study their movement, right? You study the way a foot moves or the way everything, right? That is something that you understand, whether it be wherever it would apply, if it would be getting low or twisting off of a foot or the correct hand placement or the correct eye, whatever, right? Like this is your gift. This is what you do, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the movements are very, very, very important. The correct movement in sports is
right.
That's almost base concept, right?
I mean, that's the difference, man. That's the difference.
Yeah.
That's
now, something I had to learn, of course, through my education of the great company that I'm with, part of. But I think it's important for coaches, like anything you do, you know, but coaches that say, this is what I need to learn, you know, and I've found over the years that I've been doing this, coaches don't want to learn that. Like, nah, I know already. Like, no, you don't.
Stuck. They be stuck in their ways, right?
Right. Instead of being a life learner, like, nope, this is what I know. We did it when I was a kid. I'm like, yo, you were a kid like 75 years ago. This is, you know, so you have to keep the information coming in, you know, learn from some good people. You got mentors you learn from, you know, or just open up a book. Or if you're going to do some research, go do some real research. Not let me Google this real fast. I can be the first one to answer and put it up on Facebook. You know, and I think that'll help you continue to grow. If not, you're like, you know, I'm against burpees. And one time we did burpees in my gym, but I'm against burpees. And I tell guys now, I'm like, we don't do burpees in here. I was training a special forces guy. He's like, you don't do burpees? I'm like, no.
That's the heart of the special forces PT, isn't it?
He's like, we're like, why? I said, why should we? I like to get a watch, cause they kick butt. I said, yeah, they wear a person out. I said, and they also wear out your lower back because after a while, you so fatigued, you start hyperextending your lower back. I said, then the person comes to you and says, ooh, my back is hurting. I said, and what the trainer say is, yeah, you worked. Like, no, because your movement was incorrect, so you don't need a burpee. I'm totally against burpees. And at one time, years ago, we did burpees. Like, I'm going to do burpees for no other purpose than I'm going to get them tired. That's it. You know, if somebody said, what does burpees help? The average person probably couldn't even tell you. Like, you get you tired.
So you see potential injury in burpees now?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So, nah, we don't do any burpees in my place. If I catch you doing it, but we have something that's similar. You just squat down, you walk out, you walk back in, you stand up. If that's the drill we're doing, if I catch a person and you start doing a burpee, I stop. I say, yo, we don't do burpees here. Stop doing burpees. You won't say you got hurt here.
You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. You moving forward, you're just, you're going to keep coaching, keep coaching these kids, right? This is not, you don't. Nothing. I don't even have the energy to get in the beef with anyone. Yeah. You know, if you're not affecting myself personally, my family, I'm not getting in beef with you over no sport of a boxing. Who's the best boxer? Who's the worst boxer? I don't care. You know, I'm going to live my life, enjoy my family. My favorite athletes are my sons. I tell people that all the time, which isn't wrong with that. I'm going to help whoever I can help, but I'm beefing and all that. I don't have no time for that. No, even in your facility, even under your program with your fighters, this is something you've never promoted. No. I mean, anything outside. I mean, you've always promoted discipline and more along the sides of correct morale and good humans.
When you train in my facility, you can't even use profanity. So I have grown men who use profanity. I'm like, yo, you gotta chill with that. No, you're not doing that here. Now I'm not, hey, don't cuss. Just in my facility, you're not gonna do it because I don't know how that will affect other people. You know, some people just don't want to hear you cussing. Or young lady might be like, it makes me uncomfortable. So in my facility, you're not using profanity. In my facility, as a guy, you're not taking your shirt off to train because you want to show your muscles are so hot. Nah, you can keep your shirt on. Coach is hot. Well, sit your butt down. You know, so I've tried to be big on making sure no one feels disrespected or uncomfortable, you know, in my facility.
So this issue is not an issue.
No.
Yeah. No. Cool. I was wondering. I seen it post up, and me knowing you, I was like, man, something. But obviously, this is just kind of like a whirlwind. This is
like it just popped up.
Yeah, this kind of just popped up.
Yeah, like what is this?
All right. So as long as they don't shut us back down, you're running again for right now, right?
Yeah.
What'd you say? Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Tuesdays and Fridays.
Are you doing youth again?
Not yet. I'm gonna wait till the youth to see what they say about this, all these metrics and all that.
You got any hidden talent in there, man?
Where for the
in the gym? You got any hidden talent?
I got a couple of guys. A 15-year-old who's really passionate about it. You know, he's doing well. He's growing. He has 2 matches. He lost both. I think he could deserve the decision on both. And like I told him and his mom when it first happened, that affects him more than it affects me. Because I know you want to get your win. Like, I got to get my win. So I get it. Yeah. But you're going to learn more in the beginning when you had that loss. You know, somebody say, if you win both of them and you tell somebody 3 weeks later, I won both my matches, they're like, all right, good, and life goes on. I lost both my matches. All right, better luck next time, life goes on. But your personal learning lesson, you can get a little bit more from these 2 losses you had if you want to have a long career. And that's the most I say when people say who's your next superstar? I don't believe in superstars. I have some guys in there who look all right. Another year from then, they might decide I don't want to do this anymore. You know, so,
which happens.
Yeah, so it's not a thing for me. I had my 15 minutes of fame, for lack of a better term. So I'm not living through anyone's fame. Like, oh man, I hope this is the kid. Nah, I don't want to do that. I have premier adrenaline, nitrogen. If they can continue to do well in academics and sports, maybe get a free education in college, we're good. Everybody else I'm helping. I hope I can be successful, but I'm not sleeping on it.
Man, mission accomplished, right? If those kids do well, mission accomplished.
Yeah.
All right, guys, everybody, man, some free game here. This is of no charge, at least at this point, to you guys watching this. Good having you, man. Give me some knuckles. Always good seeing you.